And we're down to the final two.
The big two.
The big two. Oh, you got that shit
The big
right.
two.
You know, the two playoff conferences. See, you're already gonna start bitching
Yep,
about it.
it's coming.
I'm already starting to complain because we know what's coming, and we're gonna get into it as we discuss this. We're gonna do Big Ten preview. Here we come, and hold on tight, folks. This is gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a good one.
Here we go. And we welcome you back to the Midnight Riders podcast. I am Johnny.
Chuck.
And we got two conferences left for the countdown. Kickoff is 1 week away.
Wow. It is August
18. And it's next Friday. No, next Saturday.
Next
Kickoff
Saturday.
next Saturday, and then Friday
Saturday.
after that, yeah.
Yep.
We start doing some Thursday night football
Yep.
and Friday night football.
Start
And
firing up.
then we get to Wednesday night football, then we get to Sunday night football, and
Then
Saturday night football, and
It's
football.
Football every night of the
Football.
week.
Football.
Every night of the week.
Well, we're going to talk about the new and, I don't know, you want to call it improved Big Ten?
No, because they got USC. I don't know how much you improve.
Well,
Got some more offense coming.
we got a lot of, well, that's the thing. You know,
They are improved. Oregon.
Well, you bring in Oregon, you bring in
Oregon's
Washington, you bring in USC, you bring in UCLA, which, I mean, TV-wise, which is what most of these conferences, that's all they care about is TV contracts. That's going to be better. I mean,
Sure.
they're going to get they're going to get viewership now from coast to coast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, coast to coast. But now you're going to have to watch a Michigan game at 9 o'clock at night
Nah, that's gonna be funny.
because they're playing.
Listen to them bitch about having to stay
Well-
up late to watch them play UCLA at
I
10:30 at
think.
night.
Well, I think what they're going to do is they're going to start demanding that the West Coast games be morning time games, or the 2 o'clock
The 11
kickoff.
o'clock,
The
yeah.
11 o'clock, 2 o'clock kickoff, so that they
That's what you want to do is get those guys from the Midwest and Wisconsin and Ohio State used to playing at 9 o'clock in the morning in California and Oregon. That'll be.
Yeah, well, I think they're gonna be. I think they're gonna give them the 2:30 kick, the
They
2:30
will.
or
They'll
3
get
o'clock.
them.
I mean, that way it'll be a 11 a.m. their time,
No,
or
yeah.
whatever the case may be. But,
They'll make exceptions for it just because that's,
well,
that's where their money's at.
They are the ESPN conference.
Yep.
Well, the conferences.
Other
and so
conference.
who knows what the hell?
It's
But
their own conference.
well, this is well, we got 18 teams in this Sunday.
18 in the damn thing.
18 teams. 18 teams in this minor league football college pay the players
It's a beast.
system.
I'm glad they're finally playing the players, but
Yeah,
good
here we go.
Lord.
Let's fire this thing off and let's just go for broke here. Let's start at the very end of at least what I'm thinking is going to be. Let's go Indiana.
Yeah, who do you got? You got Indiana?
Let's
Okay.
play with Indiana.
Okay. I had them. Where did I have them?
Indiana Hoosiers, bless their hearts, they're one of those teams that just loves making money in the Big Ten because they really don't give anything. They don't help.
Right.
Well, basketball, they play well in basketball.
Well, they do good basketball, but they
I mean,
suck otherwise.
their schedule.
New head coach.
They've got 1, 2, maybe 3 offensive starters coming back. Their defense is depleted. They've got maybe 1 starter coming back. They've got nothing. Last year they were. What did they win? 1, 2, 3. 3 games is all they won last year.
Yep, 3-9.
They're non-conference. They got FIU, Western Illinois, Charlotte. Can they win them? Maybe. Can they not? I don't know. They go to UCLA. They're at Northwestern. Then they got Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State, Ohio State, Purdue. So, they might win 2 games. They might win 2 games.
There's a little bit of optimism. Kurt Smith, the guy that came from James Madison.
Right.
He's supposed to be an offensive genius guy. So he's got
Well,
what do we got? We got Curtis Wart from Ohio at quarterback.
Oh,
You got
my
Justice
God.
Ellison, Wake Forest. You got Elijah Sarrett, James Madison, Miles Price, Texas Tech. So he's bringing in a lot of guys who are that lower level that are hoping.
Yep.
Hey, I'm
Well-
going to get noticed in the Big Ten.
yeah,
And we're going to play offense.
like we've said in the previous cast, they're the middle of the road football programs that the kids are a little bit better than that, but they're maybe not quite high
Right.
D1 stuff. So let's bring them in. Let's give it a
Right.
shot.
And that's the thing, I was looking through it, and he's bringing in a lot of quote offensive guys, a lot
Right.
of transfers. One thing I didn't see on a team that gave up 30 points a game last year was anything from the damn defense.
Well, because you got the guy you got coming in as your
so
your offensive coordinator. I don't know, man.
they gave up 30, almost 34 a game in Big Ten, 30 overall.
They're
This is his first year. They're at the bottom of the barrel. Let's just see what we can do.
This is one of those teams that I like to the conversation we tried to have two podcasts or 3 podcasts ago when we talked about the group of 5 conferences. I'm sorry, the other Power 5 conferences or 4. Shit, gotta get my
The
mind
other
going.
ones, the ones that aren't the Big Ten and SEC.
Yeah. Is the bottom part of, say, the Big 12 or the ACC just as good as the bottom part of the Big 10? Because you've got your Illinois,
think so.
you've got your Indiana, you've got your Minnesota,
Well,
you got your Purdue.
Indiana, Purdue, Northwestern, those guys aren't.
Well,
they're
even
gonna-
UCLA, even Northwestern Illinois, Rutgers.
Right.
All of these teams down
Right.
there. Yeah, you've got your first 3 or 4 power guys that are better than the power
Right.
guys in the Big 12 and the ACC maybe. And I don't know. Let's just move on. Illinois.
Man, you jumped up. Okay. You got more respect for Purdue than I did.
Yeah, a little
All right,
bit.
where
Just
we
a
at?
little bit.
Illinois.
Yeah. You got only 3 starters coming back on the offense. You got 5 or 6 coming back on defense, and a defense that gave up 30 points a game.
Right.
You're only scoring 24.
They got a good coach. So Bert Bielema,
Well, believe me,
I think he's in the process. I think that's why I gave them a little bit more credit for being not much higher up. I had them like 15th.
It's Brett. You said Bert.
Bert, whatever.
Ernie, Bert, whatever.
Unless you're from Illinois, you don't really care what I said anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're gonna start getting a little bit better. Bielema's gonna bring in some guys.
Well,
they just don't have them yet.
Well,
They got some defensive transfers coming in that are gonna be pretty good.
well,
so-
their road games. Their schedule's not bad as far as
Right.
the Big Ten schedule. Their road games are Nebraska, Penn State, Oregon, Rutgers, and Northwestern.
Right.
You're gonna get trashed by Oregon. You're gonna get beat by Penn State, Nebraska maybe. They got Kansas in a non-conference game. I'm not. Last year they won 5 games, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
5
games.
and 7.
Didn't even go to a bowl game.
Right.
I think they're going to be lucky to win 5 again. I do.
Depends on how it's set up. Like I said, they got some transfers. They got a Florida State,
Right.
Florida A&M, Auburn. They got some good transfers coming in for defense, which Bielema did it because, again, this conference is going to put up numbers, and it's not going to get any easier because you're bringing in Oregon, you're bringing in USC, you're bringing in Washington. There's
Right.
more and more scoring.
Well,
defenses are going to have to be a premium.
Well,
at
but
some
yeah,
point.
but you're going to score more points.
Should.
Who do they get? Do they get USC? They don't get USC. or
Everybody
UCLA.
wants USC.
But they get Rutgers, they get Northwestern, they get Purdue, they get
Okay,
Central
see.
Michigan, Eastern Illinois. They do play Kansas the second game of the year, which is going to be a test.
That'll be a good game.
Kansas is
Kansas,
good.
I think
Kansas is
Kansas
pretty
will beat
good.
them.
Yeah,
I think
I
Kansas
do.
will beat them. But it's not a very top heavy Big Ten
Right.
schedule, which is why I had them
Yeah.
up a little. I had them like 15th.
Well,
Not like I had 'em
well, you
in
mentioned
the top
Purdue.
5.
I got Purdue up there next. I had
Yeah.
a little difficulty going back and forth on Illinois and Purdue. Purdue's not. Purdue is Purdue.
I had Purdue.
mean-
I had Purdue at the bottom.
They only won 4 last year. They're not going to. They're non-conference schedule. They got Fresno. They've got Indiana State. Probably going to win that. But you got
Yes.
Notre Dame. Then you go to Oregon State, and then you've got your Big Ten schedule. So they might win 4 again. Maybe they might win 4. They get Oregon. They get
Yeah.
Ohio State. They get Penn State. They get Wisconsin.
But see, the defensive coordinator is the guy that came from Illinois who was supposed to be a defensive genius. So they're bringing this guy in
Yeah, it worked real
with
well in
with
Illinois.
hopes of not giving up 30 points a damn game. But
Good
there's
luck
not
with
a whole lot to talk. Unfortunately for you Purdue fans out there, there's not going to be a whole lot to talk about because I personally think they're just going to take an absolute beating this year. I was looking at them winning 2 or 3 games.
Yeah,
I don't see them
They're
succeeding.
as
a
much
lot.
as I like to complain and bitch about the Big Ten Conference and their overhype. They got the top part of their conference is just
Right.
They're bruisers,
Yeah.
and the low end of this conference is like playing a non-conference game for these guys because they're not going to win. There may be an upset or 2 here and there every now and then, but just move on up. I got Minnesota right now, and they're not a whole hell of a lot better.
You got Minnesota next.
Yeah, they had 5 wins last year. They did go to a bowl game. They beat Bowling Green. But, now they're
quick.
they opened the season with North Carolina, but they play North Carolina at home.
Right.
Then they got Rhode Island at home. Then they've got Nevada at home. Then they've got Iowa at home. And they got four home games. Then they go to Michigan. Then they have USC at home. And so they've got 5 of their first 6 games are at home. They've got a chance.
Right. I had them
with all the home games.
I had them up at number 12 in the conference.
Well,
because of that schedule, because of who they got coming back.
Right.
They got. They got 4 starters coming back on their offensive line.
They did, but they got a new quarterback.
They've got a new quarterback, new coordinator, but he's got, like I say, he's got 8 guys coming back on defense.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. And they only gave up 26 a game,
Right.
and they've got the core, the biggest part of their core on defense coming back.
Right.
And I mean last year, if you look, Michigan scored 52 on them. But you look at them also that Purdue scored 49 on them. And Purdue wasn't any good. But the other games they played, they held Nebraska to 10. They held North Carolina. Well, they just gave them 31. But they're one of those teams that are.
The schedule's kind of tough, but they get some home games that gives them a shot. Now, do I think they're winning 7? No, I had them down for 5 or 6.
No, but if they can get past North Carolina, okay, let's assume they get past North Carolina. Well, then the next 3 home games, Rhode Island, Nevada. Then you got Iowa, which is going to be a tough game, of course. So if you win those first 3, you can go in. You can have Iowa coming in at a 3-0. You're 3-0 playing Iowa at home. Then if you can win that game, then you got to go to Michigan. Then you got USC at home. Then you got to go to UCLA. So I don't know.
Well, I was going to ride on this quarterback. He's a transfer from New Hampshire, so who the hell knows what you're getting from the guy? If he comes in and performs, you got a shot to win.
That's right. But there again, is this another one of those kids that should have been a D1 kid, but he just didn't make it somewhere? He went down to New Hampshire, got his shit together. Now he's back and he's ready to roll.
Right.
You never know. You never know. So let's go with one of the first newbies. How about UCLA?
Oh, the one good story I like about this is Chip Kelly's gone. I don't like Chip Kelly.
No,
Never liked Chip Kelly.
I never have either.
Unfortunately, he went to Ohio State, but still, I'm just not a. And I think it's cool to bring in Deshaun Foster. Those of us who are our age remember Deshaun Foster playing in the NFL. Just means we're getting old. But
gives him an opportunity. It's his first. Is this his first head coach?
And why not?
Yeah, he's like been a coordinator.
Right. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Big time recruiter.
Right.
And they got Bieniemy. Bieniemy is taking over their offense. So they've got a coaching staff. Bieniemy, of course, has been talked about for years.
Yeah, as a great coach. But you only got 3 or 4 defensive guys coming back. You got your quarterback coming back. Just a couple, 3 more. Well, 2, 3 or 4 more. You got 3 of your offensive line coming back.
Right.
They did only score 26 a game, but they only gave up 18.
Right. This was like I have like 2 teams in here that are just humongous question marks as far as I'm concerned. They could win 9. They could win 6.
That's why I got them kind of halfway in the middle of this cut. I don't know what to expect. Yeah, their defense was great last year, but who did they play?
Right.
And
I had them at 14 in the conference. I like the coaching moves they made, so I'm hoping. No, I just. They got cool uniforms. I always enjoy watching them.
Well,
they got that.
I got them at 14 also in the conference. They start out at Hawaii. Okay. Then they've got Indiana at home.
It's 2 wins.
Then they go to LSU.
They're not going to win that.
That hurts.
That's a loss.
Then you're home against Oregon.
That's a loss.
Then you're at Penn State.
That's a loss.
Then you're home against Minnesota. Right there you got Minnesota, Rutgers, Nebraska, bang, bang, bang.
See, you can reel off if you can reel off those 3.
Right, but then you got Iowa, then you go to Washington, then you got USC, then you got Fresno. So their schedule is not a good schedule.
No, you're looking.
And so their defense is going to have to step up like they did last year. And if their defense plays well, they can be in most of these games. Right. But you're playing at LSU, you're playing at Penn State, you're playing at Nebraska, you're playing at Washington.
See, they got a bad draw in this new conference.
They did.
They're going. You're looking at a 6-win season.
Yes.
7 if they're lucky. If they pull off an upset somewhere.
You still.
They're looking at 6.
Yeah. They're one of those that they could win a whole if they're consistent, they can win some of these games. If they're just an average team that's just trying to find their legs,
right,
they're in trouble.
Right. But I think this is one of those teams that's like probably 2 years away from making some noise. if they keep the coaches because of the recruiting, because of the coaches, because of the location.
Now that they're in the Big Ten, I think they got a better shot of keeping
Right.
the coaches because
Right.
they're gonna be seen more. They're going to be talked about more.
Right.
If they can win some of these games this year
Yep.
and have win 7-8 games out of this hell of a schedule,
I think 7 would be an amazing year for them.
That's
right
going
now.
to give them a little bit of push to get in there, get them a decent bowl game, and see what happens from there.
Like I say, you got 2 really good recruiters, young coaches, know the system, know the kids, going to bring their system in. You got NIL, you got Big Ten.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not going
It's
these
looking good for
guys.
them.
Yeah, these guys aren't going to. They're not going to make a playoff this year.
No.
No. But we'll see. Northwestern.
Yeah.
4 or 5, 1, 2, 3, or 5 starters returning on offense, 5 starters returning on defense. The team last year won 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, won 7, and they won their bowl game, so they won a total of 8.
Got rid of Pat Fitzgerald, which is a good move on my part.
Well, here's the interesting thing about Northwestern: they won 8 games. They only scored 22 a game, but they only gave up 22 a game.
Mm-hmm.
So they were in every game. They weren't scoring a whole lot, but hell, they didn't have to because they weren't giving up a whole lot.
Right, they were kind of that Iowa type that they just didn't
Yes.
give up. They didn't give up much.
Yes, I mean they can start the season pretty good. They got Miami, Ohio, Duke, and Eastern Illinois all at home. They can win all 3 of those games. Then your first conference game, you fly all the way out to Washington. Then you got Indiana, Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa, Purdue, and then you got back-to-back Ohio State and Michigan. And end with Illinois.
So they got, and of course, like you said, their strength is the defense. 7 returning
Right.
starters. They're going to struggle on offense. They've got a transfer from Mississippi State, Mike Wright. They have no clue who's going to be the quarterback. They may now, but
Right.
new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. It seems to be a theme with the majority of these teams. It's just
Right.
with these transfers, it's a constant rotation move. But
and there's this wide receiver kid, this Frank Covey.
yeah.
And they said, he didn't need to play last year. He was hurt. They say that he's just an ungodly talent.
It better be, but you got to have somebody throwing the damn ball.
That's exactly
the
right.
problem. You don't know who you got.
Yeah, I've read 2 or 3 stories about it. Well, he's back. He's going to be a weapon. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again, like you said, though, you got to have somebody that can get him the ball, and that's where their big question mark is.
Yes. How about Michigan State?
Oh man, where do you start? Mel Tucker, good job. Sexual harassment, you're gone.
Well,
15 points a game.
Now, alleged.
Allegedly, sorry.
Michigan State's
They got a good coach, John Smith.
Michigan State's always been one of those teams for me. Every year you watch me say, man, they got a chance to be good. And sometimes they are, and sometimes they're just absolutely putrid. You just don't know what you're ever going to get with Michigan State. Every year you don't know what you're going to get.
But this is going. I mean, look at their. I mean, they only scored 16 points, gave up 28.
Yeah.
John Smith is a hell of a coach. I think that was a great hire for them coming off Tucker.
Sure.
But look at what's their schedule. If I remember right, it's a
Schedule, they start out at home with FAU. Winnable. Then they go to Maryland. They can win that. They're at home against Prairie View A&M.
okay. Go team.
Then they go to Boston College. Then they have Ohio State at home. Then they go to Oregon. Then they got Iowa. Then they've got Michigan. And then they got Indiana, Illinois, Purdue, and Rutgers. The last 4 games are easier, but you've got a 4-game run if you go to Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, and Michigan. Good luck. Good luck.
They're struggling the offensive line. I think they lost 4 of them.
Right.
But he brought in the quarterback with him from Oregon State, Aiden Childs.
Mm-hmm.
This wide receiver, this Nick Marsh guy is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's another one, kind of like we were talking about the kid from Northwestern. This Nick Marsh guy is supposed to be the weapon of all weapons for
But
them.
can you get him the ball?
But they've got the offensive weapons in place. From what I'm reading, what I'm seeing, they got backs, they got a damn good receiving core, they got a good tight end. But
You got
the
your
line concern.
blindside tackles is one of them that's coming back.
Right.
Okay, he's a senior, and you
But
got a
that's
right guard coming back.
Right.
They got a right guard, so they only got 2 linemen coming back. But Michigan State's always got big ass linemen. Now, can they get in there and
Right.
learn the system and protect? I mean, you've got those 4 in a row. You got Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, Michigan. Bang, 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 bang. I mean, you got a chance to go into that first Ohio
Right.
State game at 4-0. But then and by the time that runs over, you could be 4-4. and then
Right.
you end with 4 pretty winnable games.
Right.
So they could possibly win 7-8 games.
But there's somebody else who's brought in. I mean, they've got, like I said, the new head coach. He brought in a defensive coordinator. He brought in some players from Oregon State who put up points at Oregon State.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
they did.
I had them at 13.
Well-
They're one that, I mean, what did they end up with? 4-8 last year.
Yeah.
I think they'll be better than they were last year. But like you said,
Well, that's why I got-
the
I mean-
end of the schedule is
That's why I got them at
tough.
12. I mean, they're right in the
end of
middle.
schedule
I
is
mean,
tough.
well, they got 4 in the middle. They're just going to eat their lunch.
Yeah.
But then
Right in the middle.
they could still win 8 games. They could win their first 4, lose their next 4, then win their last 4 easily. I mean, they could be 8-4.
It could be.
So
Again, like we said before, the other 4 teams,
yeah,
new quarterback, new coordinators,
right.
see what they can do. So
The Terrapins from Maryland.
Maryland.
Last year they started out 5-0. Then they lost 4 straight. Then they won 1, lost 1, won 1. So 4, 5, 6, so won 7 games. Their schedule's not. I mean, they don't play. This year they don't play Ohio State or Michigan. Right. They do play USC in California, and they do go to Oregon. No, they play USC at home and at Oregon, and they end with Penn State. So I mean, their schedule's not the worst.
It's not the worst, but they're again, they lost Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
He's gone, so now it's up for grabs at the quarterback,
Well, this
which
Morris,
may be decided by now.
this
But
Morris kid they think's going to be pretty good.
right,
But
that's the North Carolina State transfer.
the thing is
They were tough on. They were good on offense. I mean,
They
this
were.
is one of those teams that
well, they scored 30 and they only gave up 22. Now,
Right.
and then that's what kept them in most of their games last
Yep.
year. Their defense was good enough, and they still got 3, 6, 7, or 8 guys coming back on a
Right.
decent defense that played a good Big Ten schedule.
right.
I mean,
They lost their second. They lost almost. I think they lost their entire defensive secondary. So that's a concern.
yeah,
but
that's always a bad
They've
one.
got this. This is a team I think can finish in the top 10 of the conference, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
They got a head coach who's been there for 5, 6 years. I mean, they're going to be
Back-to-back 8-win seasons for Maryland.
They're going to
in
be
that
steady.
Conference.
They're going to be steady. They're going to
That's
be there.
impressive.
They're going to win. They're going to be one of those teams that you can't go in and say I'm just going to beat you.
Right.
They're going to beat you.
Right. You play them at home, it's going to be a battle.
Now here's one that I kept booting up further up and up in the Rutgers. I mean,
Rutgers.
you never think they're going to be good because it's Rutgers, and
Yeah, but look at that schedule.
I know.
Oh my goodness! And they got one of the nation's top running backs.
I
don't know how
know.
to pronounce his name, Monengai or something like
Everything might fall into place for them this
Yeah.
year. I mean, you've got Howard, you've got Akron, you've got Vautech, you've got Washington, which is a tough one. Well, maybe Washington's not the best they used to be. And you got at Nebraska, then you got Wisconsin, UCLA, then at USC, Minnesota, Maryland, Illinois, Michigan State. I don't see Penn State. I don't see Ohio State. I don't see
No.
Michigan. None of the 3
No.
made their schedule this year. This is the year that Rutgers is going to be
Well,
good. If they're going to be good, they better do it this year.
They don't have the top. They don't have Oregon. Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. They don't get any of them.
No,
So,
they get Washington,
Yeah.
UCLA, USC, and Wisconsin.
oh man,
And so they don't get any of the big guys.
that's what you want. I mean, this is a season that they, realistically, I mean, I don't know. You can look at it. They may win 8, 9 games.
They can. Well, let's see. Howard,
They're going to be in that second half. They're
Let's
going to
see.
be in that.
they beat Howard, then they can beat Akron, they can win at Virginia Tech.
Sure, they can.
Then you've got Washington at home. Then you go to Nebraska. Then you got Wisconsin at home. UCLA at home. USC on the road. Minnesota at home. At Maryland. Illinois at home. At Michigan State. They can win 9 games.
If they can improve on their offense and score points,
Well, but the thing about it is last
They're
year their
gonna be okay.
defense only gave up
Right.
21 a game. If their defense is like they were last year,
Right.
hell, they're going to be in every game they play.
that's what I mean. If they can get an off, I mean, their quarterback transferred out. So again, another
Yes.
team with.
But you got a senior
Quarterback
coming in
with-
playing.
right. So
You got a guy who's been watching the system forever. He's ready to start. He's probably chomping at the bit. The head coach has been there for freaking 15 years, and so it's a system that this
Yeah, I know.
kid knows. He's a senior. He knows the system. He knows the players. The players respect him because he's a senior who's been there, just been waiting his turn, doing what he's supposed to do. He's going to have their respect. I mean, the offensive line, you got 3 guys coming back. I mean, these guys got something set up here with
Yeah.
a good schedule for them.
This is the year they need to do something. They're not going to get. I don't know what the schedules look like next year, but
Right.
I guarantee it's not going to look like this.
Yeah, this
So
is good.
this-
Yeah,
This is the
their
year
year.
they need to. They need to.
Yeah.
But like I said, unfortunately, this conference is so top heavy. They're not going to break into that upper echelon. But I think
Well-
they've got a shot to finish anywhere from 5 to 9.
Well, this is the fun part. This is one of the fun things in the Big Ten this year. I'm going to watch the next Rutgers. Can Rutgers knock some people around? Can they slowly move up because they don't play anybody?
Right.
Can they
It's
be?
impossible.
Can they be that team that's only got one loss coming into the final part of the season? They've only got one loss sitting on them, and they may be in the conference championship game because they don't play anybody.
They pull off an upset. They beat, say, USC at USC
Right.
or something like that. Then yeah, they're all of a sudden they're in the talk to get in that top.
Well,
The top. How many teams are in the playoffs?
12.
12. So don't say 16.
Well,
12.
Well, let's
They've
talk.
got an outside shot.
Okay, while we're talking about them, let's talk about Washington. Washington's who I got next, and here's the
Yep.
deal. They play Rutgers plays Washington the fourth game of the season. After their non-conference are done, they got Washington. Now, if they can beat Washington, which is possible because Washington lost damn near everybody on their
they did.
roster. They lost almost everybody. They lost their coach. Why? I put them up this high simply because I think they brought in enough potent power to get back in line. You got a coach coming in. Fish?
Fish coming in from Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can.
And they got Will
The
Rogers.
bottom part of this conference has not shown me enough to say that they can come in and beat a Washington team that's just basically retooling.
Right.
They haven't shown me that. Rutgers, I think, can because of what they've got. So that's the fourth game of the season. I think it's going to be a big game as far as the Big Ten is concerned.
Right.
Is Washington back? If they just retool and they're ready to roll, then they'll slap Rutgers around. If Rutgers wins that game, the rest of the conference better watch out. Rutgers may only lose a game or two, and they might be in the championship game
But Washington,
just because.
right. But with all the teams needing quarterbacks and questions, this is one of those teams that's not. Yeah, they lost Penix, but Will Rogers from Mississippi State, which is a good quarterback, transferred in.
Yeah.
So he's automatic. So he's going to be your starter. He's a proven guy. He's going to be okay. He's going to be good.
Yes.
But yeah, everything else is up in the air because of all the transfers and the new coaches and.
You don't know what's going to happen.
I have no clue on Washington.
Well, with a team like Washington, every year Washington, when they were in the Pac-12, every year Washington was one of those teams. We've said it 100 times doing these podcasts. Which Washington team is going to show up?
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to be the well-coached Washington team that's very disciplined and can do anything and score whenever they need to, or is it going to be that one that just can't stop anybody?
Right. Exactly.
New coaches, new coaching staff, damn near an entire new offense, damn near an entire new defense, new system, new everything. But they've brought in some better athletes that can pick up on a system pretty quick. They're probably working their ass off in the offseason, I'm sure. So I just think the Rutgers-Washington game, fourth week of the season, is going to be a biggie just because.
Oh, God, yeah.
Just because.
It's going to be huge.
Just to see who's where. Rutgers has got a schedule made for conference championships, and we'll have to see how it plays out. So, all right, we're going to move on to the Corny Huskers of Nebraska.
I've had a problem with Nebraska for a while because
I agree.
I like Matt Rule, but they're kind of, in my opinion, they're kind of like your Penn States. Every year, everybody talks about, oh my God, they're coming back. Look what they got coming back. He's finally turning the corner. They got this. I mean, the stud quarterback's coming in.
Well, it's one of these guys,
but
it's one of these teams that they were so good for so many years in the '60s, and '70s, and '80s, and even into the early '90s. But then they stopped. All the Tom Osborne, Barry Switzer bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped all that stuff, and so all of a sudden they were down here competing with everybody on an even playing field. People stopped going to Nebraska because back then it was fun because you won every game. But now you don't win every game, and now you're in the Big Ten. You're not dominating a Big 8,
right?
And so all of a sudden nobody wants to go to Nebraska. Well, okay, so
look at them last year. 18 points, gave up 18.3, lost 31 turnovers, had a negative 17 turnover margin.
Yeah.
But what's their schedule? Because they've got transfers coming in offensively. If this Dylan Raiola kid is as good as advertised for a freshman,
well, the only reason I put them as high as I did was because
their schedule.
Because their schedule.
Yes.
Okay.
Look at that schedule.
They got 4 home games. You got UTEP, you got Colorado, you got Northern Iowa, and you got Illinois. All 4 at home. All 4 are winnable.
Yeah, if they win those 4,
then
and Raiola performs,
then you go to Purdue. They could be 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Rutgers. We've already talked about Rutgers.
Toss-up game.
Toss-up game. Then you go to Indiana, which
That's
is
a
winnable.
win.
So you're possibly looking at what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, either 7-1 or 7-0 or 6-1.
And
Then
God, I hate talking about it, but you got Colorado, what, second game of the season?
Yeah.
Who the hell knows what they're bringing out?
well then you're at Ohio State,
Loss.
UCLA at home,
That's winnable.
at USC, Wisconsin at home, at Iowa. So you end with 5 pretty solid games.
Yeah, that's a tough end of the schedule.
Yeah, they could be 7-0, but then you or 8-0. Then you got to run into that, and it's
And then you got to always bring in the Nebraska factor, and they're going to choke off a couple games.
Sure they are.
Win.
sure. That's why
They're-
I think they could very easily lose to Colorado at home
Sure.
because
That's what I was bringing up.
because it's going to be a nationally televised game.
Right.
It's going to be Coach Prime and all this other kind of crap going on. They're not going to be able to focus on football. Everybody's going to be interviewing all their kids. What do you think about Coach?
Yeah, what do you think
You know,
about
well,
Coach
he's
Prime?
not playing.
Yeah.
He doesn't play.
He's not a big fan of Coach Prime.
Wears a cowboy hat and stands over there.
But he doesn't like CBS. I've found that out this week.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Sorry, it's not Big Ten related, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah. But anyway, Nebraska again can be Nebraska. They can win. They can win 8. They can win 9. They can win 4. We just don't know until they hit the field and see which Nebraska. I mean, they only gave up 18 a game, but they only scored 18 a game.
Right.
They got a lot of offense coming back, so maybe they're going to be better. They're going to be more equipped, ready to go. You got a new kid quarterback who's supposed to be a great, fantastic
And
quarterback.
almost their entire defense is coming back. They ranked,
Yeah.
11th nationally. They got
Yeah.
a couple kids that are preseason All-Americans. I mean, it's there for them to finish possibly in the top 5 of the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they do the Nebraska thing and they finish the season 6 and 7.
They only had 2 teams score over 25 points
Right.
against them all year. One of them was Colorado, game 2, which was they just weren't ready, and Michigan, of course. But everybody else, they kept under 25 points. So defense is going to keep them in games again this year. Can they do
They
anything
should.
on offense? We just don't know.
They should.
Let's go and let's see what happens. How
Right.
about Wisconsin? The
Oh,
Badgers.
my
The Badgers.
goodness.
The Badgers. The Badgers.
Wisconsin
7 wins last year.
and
Lost the bowl game. They've got a schedule that's just going to eat them alive. But they're still, again, they're one of those higher edge teams in this conference that I just couldn't put them below these other guys because Michigan State, Maryland, Rutgers, they haven't really proven anything in the past years. And Wisconsin's always there. They're always there.
But my issue with them, and for those of you who I work for a company who's based out of Wisconsin, some of them follow this, some of them don't. Sorry ahead of time. Luke
Wow.
Fickell was a good hire.
He just took a shot at you, man.
Luke Fickell is a good hire.
Took a shot.
But he's trying to bring in an offense that's probably freaking the hell out of people up there.
Yes.
Maybe they like it. Maybe they don't. You got Tyler Van Dyke coming in from Miami. I don't know. I have a hard time. It's hard for me to watch a Wisconsin game where the guy's trying to throw the ball over the place just because that's who it is. Maybe they'll do okay. I don't see them having a very good year because I still think they're a couple years away from Fickell getting in all his people.
Well, my thing with their
more
schedule,
transfers.
their schedule is not conducive for a
No.
good year. I mean, you
No.
got Western Michigan at home, South Dakota at home. Then your third home game of the year is Alabama. Now, is this the Alabama of old? No, it's going to be a non-Nick Saban Alabama. So
Right.
who knows what this Alabama team can do?
But no Ohio State or Michigan.
No, but you go to USC, then you go to Rutgers, which we've already talked about Rutgers. You've got Penn State at home, then you've got Oregon at homes, and you've got at Iowa. So I mean, you still got a tough schedule. You don't get Ohio
Right.
State or Michigan, but the other games you've got, you put in Alabama in there. Okay, that's just like playing Ohio State or Michigan. So that's going to be
a tough draw.
that's going to be a tough draw.
Tough
It's going to be a loss, and
Right.
but you get Penn State at home, which
We'll get to them in a minute.
yeah, unfortunately they're rated higher.
Well, they always are. Like I said, they're not as bad as Nebraska, but they're always
Plus,
ranked.
they don't have to beat anybody.
They're always on
Iowa, the
Yeah.
Hawkeyes, another team that baffles me every
Yep.
frickin' year.
Runners up last year, defense stout as hell.
Well, you still got
Good
you
lord.
still got the same coach, and they're never going to get rid of the guys. He's like Mike Gundy. They're
Nope.
never going to get rid of him. He's there as long as he wants to be there.
I think their whole season is going to boil down to that week 5. What week they got Ohio State?
5.
There you go. That's the one that's going to make. I think that's going to tell you a whole lot with that. I mean, their defense is
Well,
bad.
well,
Their defense is solid as hell.
well,
and coming back.
Well, it's okay. Let's talk about that defense. Last year they should have went undefeated.
Right.
But the offense didn't show up when they played Penn State. They didn't show up. They weren't there. They lost 31-0.
Right.
They didn't show up. Then they, for some reason, lose to Minnesota, 10-12, and the offense didn't show up there. But they won every other game they played. Then they get to the championship game, and Michigan just shuts them out. But the thing about Iowa was they were consistent, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You win 3 straight, then you lose to Penn State because you don't score any points. You win 3 straight, then you lose to Minnesota because you don't score any points. You win 5 straight, then you lose to Michigan because you didn't score any points.
Right.
So if the offense can be more consistent,
Which is why they brought in a new coordinator,
they can win some games.
Yeah.
That's why I've got them. I've got them. 6th in the conference because they could be higher. I mean, their schedule, for those of you who want to hear this, it's Illinois State at home, Iowa State at home, Troy at home. Go to Minnesota. Go to Ohio State. At home with Washington. You got Ohio State, Washington back-to-back. Then you go to Michigan State. Then you got Northwestern and Wisconsin at home. You go to UCLA. You go to Maryland. And then you end with Nebraska. It's
not an easy schedule.
It's not an easy schedule. You're looking at a possible two or three losses unless your offense comes to play. And their defense is going to be consistent. It always is. Ferentz always has a great defense. You're going to have a defense. You're going to be competitive in every game. Can you score some points against the other teams?
Well,
that's what Iowa does.
Right. McNamara,
may not do.
McNamara, he's got to stay healthy. If not, they've got the kid transferred in from Northwestern, Brendan Sullivan. But yeah, it's all going to hinge on this. The new coordinator, the new what can they do? Who are their transfers? Who can they bring into the system? And hope to God if they can score 24, 25 points a game, that defense may not allow 15 a game again. So you never know.
I know. Iowa is one of those teams that they should. You go in thinking if the defense shows up like they always do, they can win any game. They can win every game.
Exactly.
They can win every game. But you got to have an offense that can complement your defense. And every year in and year out, Iowa's offense is what usually costs them football games, not their defense.
Right. Exactly.
So, all right, the Fighting Lincoln Rileys. USC. I have them 5 on my list of this conference simply because they're going to score, 1 million points.
Mm-hmm.
They're going
They brought in
to give up 750,000 points.
Well, but he finally listened to everybody who's been telling me this ever since he's been at Oklahoma. Get rid of Grinch. Grinch has proven himself to be horrible.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a good coordinator. They got the guy from UCLA who ran an awesome defense. Mm-hmm. If this guy brings I hate to say it, but if he brings a strong defense to USC, I don't think it'll be this year.
No.
But if he can build a strong defense and Riley doesn't run for cover somewhere to the NFL to bail ass again, with his offense, if this guy's got a defense, he's bringing his people, 2 or 3 years, this team, they got an outside shot this year, granted. I don't know how their schedule lines up.
Here's their schedule. They start out the season, game 1 in Las Vegas. They will play LSU. There you go. Then they have Utah State at home. Then they get to go to Michigan.
That's going to tell a lot right there.
Then they got Wisconsin at home. Then they go to Minnesota. Then they get Penn State at home. Then they go to Maryland. Then they got Rutgers at home. Then they go to Washington. See, then they got Nebraska at home, UCLA, and then they end with Notre Dame. Here's what I think is going to get them.
Not a very great schedule for them.
Home away, home away, home away, home away, home away, home away, home away. That's what their schedule is. Week 1 they go to Vegas. Week 3 they go to Michigan. Week 5 they go to Minnesota. Week 7 they go to Maryland. Week 9 they go to Washington, and then they've got UCLA and they got Notre Dame at home. So this travel's going to kill them. Travel's going to kill them. I just don't see how they can get out of here winning more than 7 games.
That's going to be one of the interesting things this year.
Maybe
see how the travel, if it affects them and how it affects them. If they're going to, because we all know academics are the most important part of all this. So if they're going to pull them, if they finish their game on Saturday, how soon do they go ahead and fly these guys out?
Yeah, they'll fly. Well, everything I've understood and heard, they're flying kids out after the game on Saturday.
Right.
Simply because they want to get them home as
Right.
quickly as possible to start practicing again on.
To
I
get-
mean, sorry,
to
to get back to class on Monday.
Right.
So I just,
I don't know.
I
They're another one that's going to depend. The second coming is in the pros now, so he's gone. So he's got Riley's always going to have a good quarterback. Just what he does.
well, he's got to have a quarterback
So-
that has the possibility of being decent. I mean,
Right.
but you still only got 4
He's
or
got-
5 starters coming
Right.
back, so he's going to rebuild an offense, which Riley can do.
Which he can do. He's got transfers coming in like crazy.
But this
So-
who is it? Miller Moss.
Miller Moss.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
anytime Lincoln Riley has a quarterback, they say, "Well, this kid's a great quarterback. He's a great recruit. He's this, that, he's that." Okay,
They got the UNLV transfers coming in.
USC. Anywhere Lincoln Riley goes, as much as we don't like to say it here in Oklahoma, he's going to score points.
Right.
He's going to score
But he
points.
does not focus on number one. Their big
Gotta have defense.
offensive line.
Right.
Struggles.
Yes.
They're going to struggle again this year by
Sure.
the looks and the sounds of it anyway.
Sure.
And defense. But I think that's why he finally threw his hands up in there and said, "Okay, I suck at defense. Let's bring in somebody who actually can score deep." And you got the UCLA guy jumping over to USC, which is
Odd. At
it's
best.
like, oh, you jumping to OSU or the other way around. It's if it works for him, more power to him. But if it works for him, I think he got another 1 or 2 years with Riley and USC, then he's gone to the pros.
Yeah.
He's looking for that successful year.
Yeah.
So he can bail.
Yeah.
But that's not.
Okay, so let's move into the top 4, and
Can we talk about him yet?
this is
Over
my this is the thorn in my side, and I've mentioned them in many of our other podcasts simply because it's Penn State. Penn State is that team every year that doesn't have to win a big game, and they're still ranked in the top 10.
Right.
Every year they start the season ranked in the top 10, and then they win all their easy games, and then they play their hard games and they lose them, and they say, well, they just ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
And they don't knock them out of the top 10. It happens every year. They're going to be a playoff team no matter how many games they win, simply because they're Penn State.
Right.
Their schedule, unfortunately, is conducive for a good season.
And they got a new coordinator.
You're at West Virginia to start the season, which is a 50-50 game in my book. Then you got Bowling Green, Kent State, Illinois, UCLA, all 4 at home, all winnable.
Yeah.
Then you got to go to USC. If they can stop anybody,
Don't
of course
know.
their defense is
Right.
usually great.
Right.
So if they can
What,
stop
they gave us,
USC,
13 points a game last
Yeah.
year?
then you go to Wisconsin. Then you've got Ohio State at home. Then you've got Washington at home, which Washington is I still don't know.
Right.
Then you end with Purdue, Minnesota, Maryland. So they have a schedule conducive to win. But my history with Penn State tells me they're going to lose to USC, they're going to lose to Ohio State, and then they're going to be in the top 10 and get to playoff. That's what I think's going to happen.
Possible. But they
Because they're Penn State, and
Right. And they got new coordinators, both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Drew Aller, if they got to get him some weapons. He's got to be able to score. They got the new defensive coordinator because Manny Diaz went to Duke.
Wherever.
So yeah, they scored 36 a game and gave up 13.
I mean,
But it's the big games that they.
am I wrong in my assessment of this shit? Do I just put too much emphasis on the fact that I hated Joe Paterno
Well, I think,
and I hate Penn State?
possibly. I think a little bit. I think a little bit of it's personal for you.
It's just the whole
Am I
thing.
a fan of Penn State? No. Do I think they're going to crack the top what I consider, and obviously you consider the top 3? No. Do I think they can slide into that last 1 or 2 spot because of who they are? You're damn right. They
Well,
can.
the top 3 we've got. Everybody knows who the top 3 are.
Yeah.
We'll put it out in the order here. But the top 3, your Michigan, Ohio State, and your Oregon guys. Okay, let's say 2 of those 3 teams are going to should play for the Big Ten title.
Right.
Should, unless something weird happens and Penn State actually wins a tough
Right.
game. So those two of those. So the third team is more than likely not going to go down in the rankings,
Right.
and so therefore you can have these 3 teams in the playoff.
Right.
Do they put a 4th Big Ten team in there?
No, it's possible. That's what I'm saying. I think there's that outside chance that if Penn State has a good showing and, like you said, loses a quote tough game that they just didn't.
Yeah.
They just didn't bring it all out, but they made a good showing. I think it's very possible they could do that.
No, we'll see.
I agree with it. Hell no.
No.
But
Let's talk. Let's talk about Michigan.
Michigan. What are they going to do?
Well, they're starting over. They really are, kind of. You know,
I'll tell you what, they're another one. Their defense is stacked in its back. I mean,
Yes.
they're
Yes.
man.
Well, and to be honest with you, I mean, they got Texas the second game of the season. They got USC the fourth game of the season, but they're both at home.
Mm-hmm.
They win both of those games, they're going to run the
Look
table. And I mean, they got Oregon on November the 2nd at
Yep.
home. See, they get Texas at home, they get USC at home, they get Oregon at home, and then they have to go to Ohio State at the end of the year. But
But they only returned 5 offensive starters.
there's my problem. You got a new
That's the
coach, new lineup, new starters, but it's Michigan.
and the defense will keep them in every single.
But they've only got 3 starters coming back on defense.
Yeah, but look who the starters are. I mean, they're reloading.
See, that's my point.
Yeah,
They're Michigan.
Yeah.
You know, every year, I don't know how they do it because they recruit just like everybody else.
right.
I mean,
Will Johnson.
maybe it's just their cool helmets. I don't know.
Will Johnson may be the best player in the conference. Mason Graham on the defense. I mean, they
Yeah.
got All Americans out there. They've got guys who, like you said, not returning, but they're still on watch lists everywhere. They're
Everybody that wants to transfer, Michigan's always in their top 3 or 4 list. They all
Sure
they
they
all
are.
want to go to Michigan.
Hell yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Right.
You know, it's football America. It's I just
Still
I,
one of those places I want to go see a game at. And I've never been
I
to,
like
so,
I
yeah.
don't mind seeing Michigan win. I don't.
No,
I mean, I love watching them. I
liked Harbaugh.
I'm a Harbaugh fan. Loved
Yeah.
him. Hated seeing him leave college football. I think he was good for college football, but can this new guy, can Moore come in there and keep the Harbaugh mentality of let's just
Right.
win
Right.
without cheating, please? Can they keep that mentality and just go out there and do it? I mean,
Win or not.
Michigan is Michigan,
Uh-huh.
and
Yep.
their schedule is set fairly well. I mean, all the tough games they have are at home, minus the last one at Ohio State. So we'll see what happens.
That's gonna be another fun year when we watch for them. They're gonna be good.
About the Ducks, first time in the Big Ten.
They are ready.
They are.
Oh man.
You got Lanning coming. I mean, head coach is back. Most of their offense is back. A lot of their defense is back.
Dylan Gabriel, Tez Johnson.
They only gave up 16 a game. Their defense is stacked. Their offense scored 44 a game, and they retooled. Their schedule is beautiful.
But they're another one like you talked about with Michigan as far as transfer
Yeah.
destination. They only got 4 defensive starters coming back, but they loaded up on the portal.
Yeah.
They got guys all over the place coming in.
Well, I mean, their schedule.
So-
You've got 2 hard games. You're Ohio State at home, and you're at Michigan. Now they're not back to back, which is good.
If they win, what week they got Ohio State?
Okay, here we go. You go to Idaho, win. Boise State, Oregon State,
Should be a win.
at UCLA, Michigan State at home,
Win.
and then you got Ohio State at home week 6
They beat Ohio State.
at home, which
Yeah.
they can.
But damn right they
They
can.
can. Then let's say they're 6-0 with a win against Ohio State. Okay,
Mhm.
they're probably ranked number 1 at this point.
Yes.
Then
definitely.
you're at Purdue,
That's it.
Illinois. Then you go to Michigan,
You go to Michigan.
to Michigan,
There's your game.
which is hard.
If they beat Ohio State, that's probably your game of the year.
November 2nd. And then, because by then Michigan's sitting number 2 if they're number 1, or number 3 because you've got to have
Yeah.
an SEC team up there.
Oh yeah.
Then you've got Maryland, Wisconsin, and you end with Washington, which Washington's still out. Who knows what Washington's going to have. So, I mean, the reason I like their schedule is you play 5 games before you play Ohio State.
Right.
Then you play 2 more games before you go to Michigan. So you really know who you are by the time you're playing these
Right.
teams. They've retooled. Dylan Gabriel's going to light things up out there.
Yeah.
Their offense is built around this kid.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't seen Dylan Gabriel, we got a good taste of him here, and
Yeah.
the kid's something. Will he be a exceptional pro? Yeah, probably not. Not the right size, but as far
Well,
as
neither was Manziel.
far
I mean,
as-
Manziel. Neither was
Tebow.
yeah, whatever. There's another quarterback in my mind that I like to compare Gabriel
Right.
to. I can't remember
But-
what his name.
He's good, and you build. They're not going to miss. They're not going to miss a beat. They may be even better without Bo Nix there. Not that I like Bo Nix, but Gabriel.
Whoa.
Gabriel brings a little. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of Gabriel.
He
Just
can-
how tough the kid is.
He can read a defense.
Right.
He can read a defense.
Right.
He's
And-
not. He's not that guy that's going to just get rid of the ball. Get
Right.
rid of the ball. He'll sit there and he'll wait. He'll let the receivers get open. He'll let his team help him,
Right.
which is rare.
Right.
At this run and gun level of
Yes. And the
world
kid
of
is
college football. Here, let me do it. Let me do
the
it.
kid is tough as hell.
Oh yeah, he'll take a
Yeah,
hit.
he's tough, and he didn't just bail out on OU just to be bailing out and look for somewhere. He's looking for one more shot to play somewhere.
Yeah.
OU's got. We'll talk about them on our next
Right.
cast, but he's. I don't know. I'm a big fan of his. I think. Yeah, we'll get our predictions here in a second. But yeah,
Right.
they're going to be something to look out for.
They are. They're going to be tough. And let's go with who. Unfortunately, I have said it number one. That's Ohio State.
Yeah.
Now they did. Now I know they brought in Chip Kelly, so there's already one reason to hate. And
I'm already not a Ryan Day fan,
I've
but
never thought Ryan Day was a
but-
good coach, but he
yeah.
wins.
exactly.
But then again, I don't like Ohio State. So see here, I'm getting personal again.
Right.
They got 3 or 4 starters. They got 5 starters coming back on offense. They do not. I mean, you got a new quarterback. Well, you say he's a new quarterback.
Will Howard.
It's Will Howard.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, they've got.
defense is coming back. They only gave up 11
Yeah.
points a game, and they've got damn near the entire defense coming
Right.
back, plus a couple of good transfers. I mean, they're going to just be impressive as hell on defense. again.
They got NFL talent all up and down. They got
Right.
Egbuka, they got Henderson, they got Tyler.
Well,
They're just stacked.
Week 6, they're at Oregon. Week 8, they're at Penn State. And the last week of the season, they've got Michigan. So they've got two tough road games. You're at Oregon, which we've already talked about being a huge game on October 12th. An absolutely enormous game. Ohio State at Oregon. And that's going to say a lot. But then again, let's say just for argument's sake, Oregon beats Ohio State. Okay.
Right.
And then Oregon's probably going to win out, so to speak. Maybe say they beat Michigan again or not. Let's just say Oregon. Let's just say this: Oregon beats Ohio State, Michigan beats Oregon, Ohio State beats Michigan. Now you've got 3 teams with 1 loss. There's going to be some weird ass tiebreaker in there, and 2
Right.
of those get to go to the playoff. Get to go to the championship game.
Right.
The third one gets in the playoffs. So all 3 of them are going to the 12-team playoff.
Sure they are.
So it's just a matter of who gets the bye,
Yeah.
which is a good thing about the playoff that you need to win if you want that first round bye. You got to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's no more of this not playing your starters because
Right.
you're already going to be in the playoffs. Because if you don't win that, you get that extra week and the bye if you win the conference. So there's not going to be that sitting out on the
Yeah.
side waiting shit.
I just don't know. I mean, good Lord. I mean, even their transfers. They got Caleb Downs from Alabama. They got Quinshon Judkins, which, from Ole Miss. They got, I mean, they're taking other teams' best players from the portal because they want to go play at Ohio State because of where they're at. It's just, man, I hate to see it again, but they're going to be the team to beat.
Well, they
Again.
are. They are. But the thing about it is now that we got this new playoff system, which I think is going to be a great thing for college football.
Oh, I do too. Wonderful.
You're probably going to. I'm probably going to see at least 3 of these teams in the playoff. You're going to have 12. You've got the 4 automatics, which is going to be one of these guys, and then you've got the group of 5, which there's 5. There's 5 automatic bids. The rest of them are up for grabs.
Right.
Which is 7 more, and they're going to take the top 10 so-called bullshit rankings.
Yeah.
They get to go.
Right.
There's not going to be a computer-generated whatever. They're going to do it. On opinion again.
See, that's
Every time the opinion is, it's going to
Right.
be Big Ten and SEC.
Right.
Everybody gets that opinion, and so the other 7 teams are probably going to be the SEC and the Big Ten, which is a joke.
But I think where you're complaining about Penn State is going to have a little bit of an issue this year because the rankings in ESPN they love Lincoln Riley and USC.
Sure,
they love
But
love some of these other teams.
I don't think they're going to
but-
win enough games to stay in
Right.
the top 10. I don't think USC will. I think their schedule going back and forth and back and forth and back and
Right.
forth. I think it's going to cost them. It's going to wear them out. I think it's going to take them at least a couple of years to generate a defense
I
out
do
there.
too.
I mean, right now, their defense. Riley didn't care.
Don't bless their heart.
He's never cared about defense. He'll look in your eye and say, "I don't give a shit about
They'll
defense.
look in your eye and say a lot of stuff.
I'm going to score more than you."
Right. We're going to outscore you. It's
Yeah.
the old what we use down here in Oklahoma. It's the old Billy Tubbs basketball adage. Is
That's right.
We don't really give a shit what you do. We're just going to score more
I'm not
points
gonna,
than you.
I'm not going to stop you. You know
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop you. I'm
Yeah.
going to try to slow you down. If I can't slow you down, I'm going to
Yeah.
let you score so I get the ball back.
Yeah, I want
And-
more. I want more possessions than you.
And that's
Period.
just how he wins, and
Yeah.
he's won. Well, until the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I mean, in this conference, as far as schedule, as far as this, as far as that, I mean, this is kind of how I lined them up.
I'm right there with
Now,
you.
now that I talk to you and we go over it back to back, throw it around, I think Oregon may have a better shot at winning this than Ohio State. But goddamn, I'm gonna go. I'm going with Ohio State.
I was back and forth. I'm going with Oregon.
Yeah.
I just think.
Okay, who do you think they play in the title game? With all the schedule, we've looked at it, we've talked it out. Who do you think's the final two?
I think it's Ohio State.
Ohio State and Oregon.
Yeah, I think it's Ohio State.
Well, I want it to be Michigan. I want it to be Oregon and Michigan, but I think it's going to be Oregon and Ohio State. I just think Ohio State's better.
Right.
I mean, I think Michigan. Both teams retooled a little bit.
Right.
They do every year. I think Michigan's got more to. They had to retool more than Ohio State did.
Sure.
And
Sure they did.
I just really think Ohio State's really good. I think Oregon's going to be really good.
Well, but if you look farther down past three, like I said, you got Penn State, who
Mhm.
they're not going to beat one of the big boys. If they do, it'll be a surprise.
Right.
USC can't stop anybody.
Right.
Iowa hasn't proven they can score.
Right.
Wisconsin hasn't fallen into their whatever the hell they're trying to run up there. So
Right.
I mean, they've got a schedule. I think that could do
Yeah.
some damage.
Yeah.
If they get their shit together on offense.
But they can't.
But
Same-
until they see that,
Same with Nebraska.
right?
You
Until
just don't know.
exactly. So until they can prove the new offenses are going to start generating,
Yep.
I think you're stuck with these top three.
Mm-hmm. And
So
Penn
for-
State. Well, you're stuck with these top three, and then you got Penn
Penn
State
State.
and USC who are going to keep
That's what
doing
I'm
this.
Right.
They're not. I don't think USC. I think USC made a mistake moving to the Big Ten as far as getting into a playoff. And I mean, they had a chance every year to win the Pac-12.
Sure they did.
Every year.
That's that OU Texas.
Same with OU Texas. OU Texas every year.
Right.
It changed a little bit through time, but I mean, every year they had USC was the top. Them or Oregon.
Yeah, they were always the top 2,
So,
3, 4
right.
every time.
But that's why we play the games. That's
Yep.
why we watch it. So that's it. That's it, and that's that. Now, hang tight. We're going to be doing the SEC here really, really soon. We do appreciate you coming in. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and let everyone know we're going to be talking college football all season during college football.
During college football season.
We'll be doing a procast here pretty soon on that preseason pro stuff. We'll get to that too. Baseball's still going. We'll hit that every now and then, but that's the Big Ten for you. We'll be doing the SEC real soon. Be looking for that, and then football kicks off. It's coming Saturday.
It's coming Saturday.
Holy
So this
shit.
is August 18th. It's coming.
Holy shit!
Stop all your plans.
And let's
No weddings, no nothing.
Hope it's not 107-degree heat index like it is here in Oklahoma.
God almighty.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's horrible.
But anyway, we do appreciate you coming in. Do like, subscribe, comment, give us anything you want. Let everybody know. We'd like to get a lot more subscribers if we can. Please, please, please spread the word. Get them on here and let's go. Got anything else?
Nah, that is it. We just recently did our 50th podcast too. So
Hey, we did.
thank y'all
This
for
is
keeping
number
us around.
52.
Yep.
Not too shabby.
So please get the word out there for us.
Anyway, we will be back soon with some SEC. We'll talk about that when we get back, and we will see you soon. You done?
I'm done.
He's done.
See ya.
Bye.